What's up, gang? It is I, Carlton Flowers, your crypto pro.
Yay!
And this afternoon, we're going to take a look at the Disney collection so we can get an idea of where the market is trending. So about a week or so ago, we were looking at the charts and it was giving us hints that the bottom was in because we started to uptick just a little bit. And then about a day or two after that, I started to think that we were not breaking out because we were getting conflicting charts from certain groups of items on the market versus other groups. But now that I have let about 5 days pass, it looks to me like the downtrend, at least for this Disney set, is going down, that we have not completely broken out. And there are some items here that are kind of upticking a little bit, but overall it looks like we have a downtrend. So we're just going to jump into the charts and see what we can see, starting out with Daisy Duck. And these prices are not completely up to the minute. I did look at some of the prices, and like, for example, Daisy Duck is at $295 right now. We're showing a floor price of $290. And this was updated 6 hours ago, but it'll still give us a good enough idea of where the market is headed and trending. So we're going to click on all to get the entire history here. And coming off of that all-time peak that was around 750, we can see that the general trend here is still down, even though that it kind of stopped up a little bit. We kind of sailed down to this low point and had the big spike up, and now overall, we're still kind of ticking down. We had this quick little uptick and back to that same slope, and then that downtick back to the same slope. So overall, when you see the slope of the lines, when you connect all the dots, let's say if we connect the if we connect the lower, let's get rid of the arrows here and then use a line so you can see this. If we connect the lines there at the low points, there's the slope average, the average slope of those low points, with a few that are, you know, off the beaten path there. And then when we connect the dots with most of these high points and try to just get a good average between these highs, we see it's at just about the same slope. And then we jump up to here, so we got to make a new line here that kind of fits these in, and then we see that these low points here are kind of within that same range. So overall, the slope of the lines that contain the low points and the high points is overall the same. So until we start making higher highs and higher lows and break out of these channels and stay out of those channels, it's pretty much a downtrend. So right here, obviously, we broke this line here when we came up to this point. But then after we correct, we're still overall on the same downward slope. So that's something that you have to watch out for when you see a breakout. Is it really a change in the overall direction? And to answer that, it is no. Okay, so let's just spot check a few others. Looking at Jaunty Jig is down to 440. Let's pull up all the history here. And by the way, this is my-nft-tracker.com. That's the website that I'm using. This chart is exactly the same. So overall direction is downward. And when we connect the dots of all the low points, there's a slope. These medium points here, it's on that same slope. And then when we look at the high points, same slope. So even though that we have points of time where we break out above that line, it's not an overall change, because once we get more data in, we stay on the same slope. Rise over run, if you remember that in your algebra days. And so when you have a positive slope, it looks like this, and you maybe rise 1, run 1. And then as algebra taught us, when you have a negative slope, you're not rising, but your rise is -1 and your run is 1. So that's what I mean when I talk about this slope of the lines. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's see here. What else is good to pick up here? Pluto. We'll just look at Pluto really quickly, sitting at 599 rather, pulling in all the data. And this one, overall downslope, and it's flattening out here. So what could happen? It could drop more and then it would match this slope. Or if it stays flat here and then we start printing higher highs and lower highs, like I said, that could be a point where it might turn around. One thing that does kind of tell us that we could be close is this steep drop in the supply. Now, for the fact that the supply is decreasing, we're setting ourselves up for a move upwards. Not to say that it absolutely has to happen that way, because we see here, all right, supply went way down low and was at the low point right here after the blow off top. Okay, and so that's when price started to sail down. You would think it would continue up because we were down here at this lowest supply, but then here come the listings, and then there goes the price headed downwards as the listings move up. So this could be an indication that we're at least close to that point where we're ready to move into the next phase. Okay, let's look at the good old Lady and the Tramp, one of our newer ones. It's down to 710. Let's pull in all of the data. Same thing here, overall downslope. It's flattening out though, just like we saw on the previous there. So that might be an indication that it is close. Wally coming in at 850 has just recently ticked up according to the app since 6 hours ago, but it hasn't ticked up all that much. Now this one, we don't have quite as much time that is transpired since the all-time peak. We had this double top, which is kind of interesting, and then sliding down. And notice how these data points are going down at the same slope of this overall slide. So we can't call for a breakout there yet or an end to the trend. Donald and Daisy Duck at 979. And I think it ticked back up to 1,000 if I'm not mistaken. And overall, that's not really anything. It's not groundbreaking news if we get above 1,000, because we still have this downward slope of our lines there. Our average is a negative slope. It's a lot more choppy here after we come off of this peak here, somewhere around 2,000, 1,900. And my heart goes out to those of you who bought at that peak. That must hurt. Word to the wise, never buy during market cycle peaks. Wait until the next phase, because what I've found, what always works for me, is that when you miss that item that you really wish that you could have had, they always come back to pick you up. You just have to wait for the next complete market cycle for that item to come back and get you. Pizza Planet truck. I've got one of these, and we're down to $9.90 for the floor price. Let's check the chart, and this is a definite downtrend. Slope is down. We had somewhat of a, I thought this was a blow flag here, and it turned out that it was not. It was a pennant, because coming from the blow off top to this point, it looked like it broke up and then it sailed on down. So we're still in a downtrend on Pizza Planet truck. Now, one thing that people are discussing is whether or not the MTL is going to bring these prices down further, or if it's going to bolster prices because of new users that are supposedly going to flood in to the app because they've been waiting on the sidelines because they did not want to get involved until they have an option to be able to convert to cash. Post your opinion about that if you think the MTL will tank prices or bolster prices. And also, how many people, is there a percentage of people that are already able to cash out while the beta is going on? I had some commenters that said, well, no one can do MTL yet. And I was under the impression that, yes, there are people who can, where we've had the button that lights up on the website, where if you have that gem balance, you can cash out. But I don't have any confirmed reports of anybody cashing out yet at this point. All right, so this is a definite downtrend, kind of flattening off here, but overall it is moving down, sitting just above 1,000. Now, let's just jump. Let's skip Iron Man, Goofy, C-3PO, LC, and go straight to the hat. And then we'll look at C-3PO, or I'm sorry, R2-D2, and then Walt. I have a hat. Price is moving down, $27.98. I think it's lower than that at the moment. So let's scroll down and get all of the price history. And it's definitely still in that overall downed trend. Here we go. There's your slope of your activity, even though it looks like it was coming up from this low point of like 2,200 a few days ago, which was, wow, man. I had considered selling somewhere around this peak here just to buy back low, but I never got up the nerve to do it. And pretty soon I'll talk about this whole discussion of you can't sell the Disney Golden Moment Grails. You can never sell them. But if you are one that has confidence in your charting ability and you can sell something at a peak and buy it back low and take a chance, hey, you might want to go for it. Now, one person had a good comment for me in the group and said, well, if I've got a low 3-digit number of R2D2, would it be not a wise thing to sell it and try to buy back on a dip because of not being able to know if there's going to be another 3-digit item available? And I said, yeah, you got a good point there. So if you really want the benefit of that 3-digit, maybe you hang on to it and not take that chance. Whereas mine is a 4-digit. And even though I'm afraid to trade, it wouldn't matter for me to get a different number, whether it's slightly lower or slightly higher. Even though when I do the swing trade deal, I usually buy back an item that has a lower number than where I started. All right, let's get all of the data in. And we're barely a tick. I think it's at 4,900 right now. So we ticked below this 5,000 number. So we're definitely in a downtrend. Now on this one, I said this looked like a bull flag, and it turned out that it was as we continued up and we had our all-time high at what, 9,698 it says. And then after that point, it's correction city. So I don't know. It looks like the supply is remaining flat, which tells me that we could continue to go downward. Last but certainly not least is the partner statue coming in at $25,999. I think there's a listing for $24,000 now. I was just checking the app. And then there's several at 25 and change. So let's look at this one and draw some lines here. Connecting the dots on the peaks. That's the same slope as connecting the dots roughly on the valleys. So this is a trend. It's a trend that is continuing. And then we also see that supply is just kind of leveling off. It's staying within this box here. It's actually going down, which, as I said before, that's a good indication because the lower supply gets, we're going to get a squeeze. And then once the activity hits, we should see a pop in price because people are going to start scrambling. And without that supply, the demand hitting it is going to force the price to go up higher. All right, so that is the Disney indicators. And I'm going to pull up the Todd just real quick so we can check out the price on him. I do hold a Todd. Right now, we're showing $6,799. I think it is still, of course, in a pretty good downtrend, which matches the Disney items. So here we have a very similar chart where we blew up. High point is here at, what is that? $13,499. That was a fun day right there. $14,599. There it is. That was the high point. And since then, of course, we've got that same pretty much the same slope, the same downward slope. We got a downward trending parallel trading channel. That's what I call it in the crypto world. And if we continue this, there's a possibility we could kind of head down towards the mid 4,000 area before we blast off. But I'll tell you one thing, whenever we hit that next market cycle, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see a $20,000 to $25,000 Todd. Now, will I sell? I don't know. But one thing I am considering would be my DeFi 2.0 alternatives. Okay. There are opportunities out there where you can do DeFi lending. They call this NFT-Fi or DeFi 2.0, where you're going to use NFTs as collateral for loans. So let's say Bitcoin. I want to buy some Bitcoin and don't have the money. Well, I can put up my Todd as collateral and they'll write a smart contract, which I'll have to give up my user ID and the item number, and the smart contract will execute on the sale of my Todd if I get down to the point where my loan is within a certain range of the value, the current value of the Todd. But let's say if Todd is worth $25,000 and I want to get a $10,000 loan, then I'm kind of safe. I've got a little leeway where the price of Todd can dip and I won't get to that point where it triggers the smart contract to liquidate the asset in order to cover for the loan. So then I can go and spend that $10,000 on Ethereum or Bitcoin, write it up, sell that, and then pay off the original DeFi 2.0 loan. And I've got money in my pocket, plus I still have my NFT. We're going to be talking about that. Someone came into my group, or it was on a comment posted, where they have actually found a company, a project that, from what they're saying, considers VeVe NFTs for DeFi loans. So we'll have to look more into that and see if it is legit, because that's exciting. Well, that's all I've got for this edition. The trend is your friend until the end, and this is not the end of the dip. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you have not already. And thank you very much to everyone across the United States and throughout the world for taking the time out of your day to watch. And I am forever grateful for all of the amazing positive comments, the encouraging comments, and the appreciation that has been shown for the work that I put together to bring this information and share strategy and reports on the market. That's what puts the gas in my tank, and I can't tell you guys how much that it brightens my day to be able to talk with you, chat with you, and for all the encouragement that you have given me along the way. Well, that is it for now. We'll see you real soon. This is Carlton, and I am out.